Triple H has been doing many things right since becoming WWE's chief content officer, but the game has a growing problem on his hands and no one in WWE seems willing to discuss the company's ever-growing roster. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the biggest problem in WWE that nobody's talking about right now. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new channel, Wrestlelamia Shorts. The right intentions, the wrong results. It's been said that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and while it's safe to say the WWE isn't hellbound, Triple H rebuilding the WWE roster has turned into a tangled mess. The game had the right intentions, restoring a roster that had been cut to the bone during the pandemic. The WWE Universe is used to seeing the company make cuts every year, but not to the extent of 2020 and 2021, nor the departure of popular main eventers such as Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. When Triple H took over creative, he inherited many problems including a small roster, but it didn't take him too long to deal with this deficiency as he began bringing back NXT stars who fizzled on the main roster, NXT superstars who weren't given the chance to succeed on the main roster, and various popular wrestlers who had been cut by Vince McMahon. And to his credit, Triple H makes it a point to take time to develop storylines and to wait until wrestlers have a storyline in place before debuting them. For example, it's believed that Chelsea Green was signed for months before she debuted in WWE. Initially, Triple H was praised for the skill and how Bray Wyatt was slowly reintroduced into the WWE Universe, but his subsequent storyline was seen as average at best. Now, there have been some positives, chief among them LA Knight, who has gained a huge following despite the WWE's bad booking of him against Bray Wyatt. However, for every LA Knight, there have been wrestlers whose pushes failed to lead to any significant gain, or worse, abruptly faded from sight, leading to questions: why do we have so many wrestlers on the roster right now? Let's look at Triple H's problems, or where Triple H has failed in how he's used, or in many cases not used, the talent he brought back. Let's review his biggest failures and determine how could we fix them. Number 1. No vision for the roster. One of the problems is that Triple H doesn't seem to have a long-term plan for many of his wrestlers. Now that Vince McMahon is back in creative, conventional wisdom is that when things go well, it's due to Triple H, but when things go awry, it's due to Mr. McMahon's presence. This isn't a fair assessment, other than the Raw after WrestleMania 39, a night everyone is still trying to forget, because Triple H had difficulties booking his new talent before McMahon's return. The cerebral assassin can defend himself and state he had a long-term vision for everyone and that fans just have to wait. Unfortunately, he's had a long time to utilize the new talent, and as we'll see, this so-called long-term vision hasn't really panned out. Number 2. Infrequent appearances. Having a large roster, note a large as opposed to a bloated one, has benefits in that it gives fans more variety and it gives the WWE time to gauge different wrestlers' chemistry with each other and fans. It also provides backup for unexpected absences due to injuries, wellness policy violations, and wrestlers needing personal time off. Another problem with the bloated roster is that it forces WWE to book talent far too infrequently. It's difficult to book a large roster even when you have a 3-hour show on Monday and a 2-hour show on Friday. Throw in premium live events where cards usually have 6 or 7 matches and spots are hard to come by. It's a challenge and one Triple H hasn't solved. Number 3. Incredible inconsistency. Another problem is Triple H's lack of consistency in booking new stars. Triple H's 50-50 booking still seems to be in place. Karrion Kross exemplifies this as he's feuded with some top stars including Drew McIntyre and Rey Mysterio, but failed to emerge with many wins, and in doing so, he's looked lackluster. Number 4. Ignoring fan favorites. Wrestling fans have their favorites, many of whom Triple H brought back. However, what are they doing? Let's look at the women's division, clearly the game's biggest failure in creative. Nikki Cross and Candice LeRae may not be Becky Lynch level stars, but they have a devoted following Helmsley initially seemed to want to capitalize on. Nikki participated in the Women's War Games match, while LeRae initially seemed to have a push, but both ladies' storylines have just vanished overnight. Number 5. Pushing his personal favorites. It's a painful truth that sometimes fans have to ignore the fans initially in order to give them someone they think has long-term benefits. However, Triple H has focused too much on certain stars who haven't proven themselves, doing so at the expense of others. Two examples stand out. The first is Johnny Gargano, who was reaching Rocky Maivia levels of being pushed down the fans' throats. Johnny Wrestling lives up to his nickname in the ring and he has a certain amount of charisma. However, Triple H often featured him in multiple segments on Raw, depriving other wrestlers of TV time. A second example of this is Damage Control. Bayley deserves credit for putting her own push secondary to Dakota Kai and Io Sky to help them get over. Likewise, Triple H gave the two talented NXT wrestlers a chance to get over. Again, he spent too much time with Damage Control, ignoring other female talent that he brought back such as Tegan Nox, Mia Yim and Emma. The end result is that fans often have no time to get to know wrestlers, they aren't utilized enough where fans will invest in them, and the majority of them become wrestling's equivalent of extras in movies, people seen in the background who may have a line or two of dialogue but who aren't a part of the main storyline. So what options does WWE have? Well, the obvious option is to start making cuts. It's surprising that WWE's executives haven't asked Triple H why he's spending so much money on talent yet using so little of it. It's not a stretch to argue that WWE utilizes 60% of its new hires at best. Triple H has enjoyed a grace period with his surplus roster thanks to two things. The first was that WWE wanted to put the Vince McMahon scandal behind it. The second was that WWE announced it was up for sale. In both instances, the WWE wanted to maintain the appearance of continuity, which it explains why there have been no releases. While they continue to claim it's not going to release their talent with the Endeavor merger coming close to its conclusion, the company has said it expects to cut a substantial number of staff. That is understandable, but it's difficult to believe that WWE's new partner won't question why the company has so much talent and so many superstars that aren't being utilized, unless backstage cameos count as being used. But could they turn NXT into a third brand? Now, another solution is using NXT as a third brand as opposed to treating it like a developmental territory. WWE President Nick Khan reportedly wants to elevate NXT status, with the chief goal being to negotiate higher rights fees. This isn't a bad idea because the WWE has found some success with moving main roster stars to the black and gold brand, with Mandy Rose exemplifying how to give a wrestler a second chance to show what they can do. In other cases, the WWE has experienced wrestlers work in NXT in order to help the brand's wrestlers learn from them, especially the WWE style. Such was the case with Finn Balor, whose career really didn't stand out during his second run in NXT, but whose experience undoubtedly helped those he worked with. The biggest drawback here is that there are only so many spots on NXT, and at what point do main roster stars eclipse NXT talent? The next is more programming. Now, there's been talk of expanding SmackDown to 3 hours, a situation which might be appealing for a new TV rights partner that wants as much WWE content as it can get. While many fans complain that 3 hours of Raw is too much, at times it really is, the show's ratings have been strong enough where it's no longer an issue. A third hour on the blue brand could create more opportunities as long as they don't use them for even more appearances by the Bloodline. Well, if there's anything left of the Bloodline right now. Another option is to create new programming. Prior to the pandemic, the WWE had ambitious plans to launch NXT brands in various international markets. While that has been put on hold, the WWE still intends to launch NXT Europe, which will create a need for experienced wrestlers to work with whomever the WWE brings into its developmental territory. There have also been discussions about WWE adding even more in-ring TV content. This may be a bad idea in the long run, but right now there doesn't seem to be any end in the demand for WWE programming, and as fans know, when have long-term consequences outweigh short-term gains. They could add another 1-hour show on Peacock or even test a 60-minute show with a new network partner. Unless the WWE adds more TV time, Triple H will have to make cuts to the roster or see WWE executives do this for him. The WWE right now has too many wrestlers, and the cerebral assassin hasn't shown a talent for squeezing everyone into WWE's allotted hours of TV. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.